Por asistir hoy esta mañana en esta ronda de prensa que vamos a tener. We would like to first of all introduce the special guests that are here today for this conference. We have District Attorney Jaime Esparza, County Attorney Joan Bernal, Chief Greg Allen from the El Paso PD, Sheriff Wiles with the Sheriff's Department, Chris Benoit with the El Paso Civil Rights Project, and Lydia Cruz with the Labor Justice Committee. The purpose for this press conference is to announce a new initiative, a new collaborative, if you will, between all of these agencies in applying or implementing the new state law that I have the honor of introducing in the legislature that prohibits the theft of wages for our workers in this community here in El Paso. It's a very important piece of legislation because we know from reports, we know from surveys that have been done that 1 out of 5 workers in this community do not get paid their wages. Who are we talking about? We're talking about day laborers, we're talking about individuals who work in the construction industry, in the landscaping industry, and other sectors of our economy that not only robs the individual workers and their families of the wages that they earned, but also impacts our own economy. To the extent that these workers don't have their wages paid, they can't provide for food, they can't get their rent paid, they can't provide for healthcare services, and certainly their spending is not circulated into our economy as well. So I think that all of El Paso benefits from an aggressive law enforcement effort against those unscrupulous employers that for years and years, not just here in El Paso, but in other parts of the border and up in Houston and in other sectors of the state where there's a lot of construction industry, where workers do not get paid. And so this is the first initiative that I'm aware of statewide. In talking to a reporter the other day, that's a statewide reporter who asked me the question, the first initiative across the state to come together in a unified fashion as we have here in El Paso through this committee to implement the processes, the procedures for enforcing this important statute. So I would like to at this time call on the individuals here with us to give you more specifics in terms of their role and the importance of this legislation. I want to thank certainly the workers who are here, darles las gracias a todos los trabajadores y sus familias que están aquí presentes por asistir a esta ocasión donde anunciamos una nueva colaborativa, iniciativa de parte de las varias agencias policíacas, de los procuradores, fiscales de aquí del distrito, todos trabajando en conjunto para asegurar que la nueva ley contra del robo del sueldo sea implementada y sea observada por todos los empleadores y patrones en nuestra región, ya que sabemos que es un problema muy grave en esta región. Primero quiero llamar, I'd like to first call upon our District Attorney, Jaime Esparza. This is the office that has a lot of the enforcement authority, in fact, the enforcement authority over these cases. And Jaime will give a full explanation about the role his office will play. Mr. Esparza.
Good morning. I'm glad to see you all out here. This is an important initiative for us. I'd like to thank Senator Rodriguez for his leadership in this area, but especially the leadership of the County Attorney, Joan Bernal, and Chief Allen from the El Paso Police Department, and Sheriff Wiles. Sorry, Sheriff These cases are actually more complicated than most people think. Wage theft sounds so simple, but it's more difficult to prove. With the assistance of Senator Rodriguez's new legislation and this initiative, I think we'll have more successful prosecutions. I think that the important message here is that we are serious about wage theft. Those employers who believe that they can hire someone and not pay them for the work due, then we're going to pursue that. It does take work. It's not just the sole responsibility of the District Attorney's Office, and actually we do the tail end of the work, we do the prosecution, but the prosecution would not be successful without adequate investigation, and I'm pleased to know that both Sheriff Wiles and Chief Allen have committed their resources in making sure that these cases are investigated properly so that we can have a successful prosecution. For those of you who might be curious, it is a Class B misdemeanor if the theft is from $20 to $500. It's a Class A misdemeanor if it's from $500 to $1,500, and it is a state jail felony if the theft is anywhere from $1,500 to $20,000. To briefly tell you, we are committed to the prosecution of these cases. As you can see, there is wide community interest. That's why there are those many people around here who are in this room. I do believe it is a problem, but it is something that I think we at least in this community, with the leadership of Senator Rodriguez, that we are addressing. Thank you.
I next want to call on our Pasco County Attorney, Ms. Joanne Bernal.
Thank you. Good morning. I just want to say a few words, and I think that our message here collectively, when you see law enforcement and the prosecutors and the senator here today, is that this is a serious commitment and it is a joint effort, that wage theft is a very real problem in our community, and that we stand together. We stand with District Attorney Jaime Esparza as well as our local law enforcement in expressing our commitment to working on these cases. My office will be exploring civilly whether there are areas of civil law that we might be able to pursue with regard to wage theft cases, as well as hot check cases. We will also be active in promoting information and educating employees who may have been ripped off by unscrupulous employers, and explaining to them what their rights are under the law. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Bernal. Chief Allen.
Morning, everyone. I'd like to thank Senator Rodriguez for bringing this initiative forward. I feel this is going to be a good law enforcement tool for the El Paso community, especially since we work so closely on the border. A lot of people have been taken advantage of by employers who see the advantage in taking wages from people who really need those wages. So with this efforts, we're going to have another tool that is going to be worked, and it's going to be worked hard. A specialty unit of the police department, our financial crimes unit, will be handling this particular aspect of the crime, because it does have special considerations that we need to put in place to make this crime go all the way to successful prosecution. So again, I'd like to thank Senator Rodriguez for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Chief. Sheriff Wild.
Well, thank you and good morning. I want to thank our District Attorney Jaime Esparza for letting us use your place. You like that?
I like
that. I can't repeat everything that the senator said because he's right on point about everything that he said regarding this issue, and I'm very pleased to see you get people together that have a great concern over this issue in our community. I mean, there's very few press conferences I've been to where we have our citizens with us standing side by side supporting what we're doing, because it's an important issue here in El Paso. From a law enforcement perspective, I'm hoping, and I thank you, the members of the media, for being here, that the message gets out not to even do it. We would much rather prevent these crimes from occurring. And that means that people work and they get paid what's rightfully theirs. And then that stops the process. And if we can achieve that, we've done a lot. But the message should be to those people who think that they can get work out of people and not pay them, that we stand together and committed to take the appropriate action. And that means, from a law enforcement perspective, that the Sheriff's Department and the Police Department will accept your complaint, will investigate that complaint, will make the appropriate arrest, and will present that case to the District Attorney for prosecution. And that's our commitment to you here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. Next, I'd like to call on Ms. Lidia Cruz with the Labor Justice Committee to give you a perspective from the workers' standpoint. Ms. Cruz.
Buenos días, yo represento al Comité de Justicia Laboral, una organización de base que cuenta con más de 100 miembros y alrededor de 30 activos. Llevamos 2 años luchando por los derechos de los trabajadores en cuanto al robo de salario y casi 2 años trabajando con la Oficina del Fiscal de Distrito para implementar esta ley. Hoy significa un logro muy importante no solo para la comunidad, sino para los trabajadores de la clase más vulnerable. Con esta ley esperamos que los empleadores paren de cometer abusos y prácticas de fraude y no se manejen en este ambiente de impunidad. Es importante por los casos en los cuales los empleadores sean reincidentes y donde tienen como práctica de su negocio el robo de salario. Estos casos, después de 2 años de lucha y del trabajo adjunto y muy valorado de parte del fiscal de distrito, el senador José Rodríguez, la procuradora del condado y los departamentos de policía, serán tomados y perseguidos como casos criminales. Para iniciar este proceso, vamos a presentarle 2 casos de 2 de nuestros miembros. Son casos ejemplares de empleadores que con total falta de escrúpulos han robado sueldos en impunidad total por muchos años. Mr. Wiles, le presentamos los 2 primeros casos.
Muchas gracias. Let me just briefly translate, just generally speaking. Ms. Cruz points out that her committee, the Labor Justice Committee, has been working and struggling with this issue for the last 2 years, and that they are very appreciative that there's going to be an effort undertaken by all of the different agencies that you see represented here by our district attorney, county attorney, the police department, the sheriffs, and others to ensure that the new law is respected and is applied against those employers who continue to commit abuses, as she put it, against the workers. And in fact, she just presented 2 cases that they have investigated themselves to Sheriff Wiles to look at as examples of what is going on here in the community. So I believe that in a nutshell captures what her comments were. Thank you. And finally, we have an attorney, Chris Benoit, who is with the Texas Civil Rights Project. And I might add that it was Chris and Ms. Cruz and her organization that visited with me last November after the election and asked me to carry this legislation in the Senate. And so I am thankful for them for bringing it to my attention and for all the legwork, essentially, that they have done to convince me and then me convince the legislators in Austin that this was important, not just for El Paso, but for the rest of the state of Texas. So, Chris, step forward, please.
That's quick. 2 years ago, our office in the Labor Justice Committee started a humble conversation with the District Attorney's Office to find ways that we can implement effective services statute in a similar way as in Austin, Texas. Now we're proud to announce that we have superseded Austin in terms of collaboration, and that we have a robust commitment by our elected officials to investigate and prosecute these cases. So many of the cases of unpaid wages.